So, what is up?
How are you?
I'm great.
So,
Great.
what are your days like now since the kids are out of school?
Pretty heavy chilling. I've been
What's up, Elijah? Oh,
Hey.
my bad. I didn't mean to cut in.
You're good. Cam over here saying what's up.
What's good, bro?
How are you, bro?
Good, man.
I ain't seen you in a minute.
I ain't seen you since I ran into you at the movies at one time.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You
You
got
still
a
jacked.
family now, bro. Goodness.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
We'll
man.
have to catch up soon, man. I don't want to
Yes, sir.
keep you off me.
You're good. Yeah. So I'm teaching summer school.
Okay.
So I've been doing that, but that's only for the mornings from like 8 o'clock to about 11:30. So
Okay.
that's cool. And then I just been kind of plugging away at some of my realtor stuff, like just sending out emails and
Yep.
staying up to date with clients and trying to trying to generate more business there. Been doing a lot more research on different investments, like different stocks and things like that. So and then playing fucking video games, man.
Did you ever did you catch that AMC wave at all for a minute?
No, I have a, I don't know, I guess I would call it like a rule for investing is like I will not put my money into something that I don't personally believe in.
You don't believe in the movies?
Well, so I think I'll take me for example, but I think a lot of other people are this way. If a movie come out on Netflix, I'm about 10 times more likely to watch it on Netflix at my crib.
Right.
Chilling with my girl, like we don't got to go nowhere.
Right.
Go out to a movie theater where like sometimes my seat is sticky and like there's popcorn all over my fresh kicks.
Not the sticky seat. Oh, brother.
Yeah, like that's just me. So that like essentially I basically, because of that, I look into the future. I'm like, are movie theaters like a long-term, I mean, the real estate required to keep it functioning, like you're talking about, probably $10,000+ a month in real estate.
Oh, way more than that. Oh yeah. A movie theater's rent is way more than 10 bands.
So what? I mean, 20, or are we talking like 50?
They got to be pushing 30 for sure, because maybe towards 50. Because like I had when we had the gym, our rent was $5,000, and we only had
really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Commercial rent, boy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and we had like 2,000 square feet. So like they dealing with they're easily at 50K bottom. Like
yeah. So that's what. So the overhead is super high. Like there ain't that many great movies coming out, and let's keep it a stack. Like shit is. How many sequels we gonna make, or prequels? How many origin stories are we gonna do before we fucking get bored?
I was just about to say, I mean,
I was bored like 5 years ago with it. Like I'm done, dude. I don't care about fucking Aquaman's origin story.
Yeah, I would say those are the only movies, honestly, though, which I mean that people like I said, really, I feel like rush to is like obviously the superhero movies will do fine, and whenever Star Wars does a movie, but that's not. I feel like that's not. I mean, it's definitely not enough for an entire industry to be holding on for sure. I feel that.
Yeah, and I got friends that like are in the film industry, and like they're, I talk to them a lot about it, and like movie theaters are a thing that seem to be pretty much like obsolete. But that's not to say that the film industry isn't like very, very large. Like people still love movies. It's
right. Yeah, they just have to adapt the delivery.
Yeah, it's just the like, and like I was talking to my girl the other day, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind going to a movie theater, but that's just because I haven't been to a movie in like over a year.
Right, that makes sense.
So it's like, once I'm joking, like most of them are clean and like well kept and like it's
right.
But it's just like if I could stay at home and get the movie versus if I had the same movie and I get to choose whether I watch it at my house on my 70-inch screen or go somewhere else and watch it on a 200-inch screen,
right?
Whatever the fuck it is, like I'd probably just stay home and watch it.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
That's kind of so that goes into like my own convictions of like how I feel about the future of the industry. And so I just don't see it long term being like with the overhead being just for rent or let's say hopefully they own the fucking real estate that they're on, the companies. If they own it, they still got to pay the mortgage, and that's we're talking either way, we're talking upwards of 20,000. So plus,
I wonder if that's interesting since
labor and all that shit. Like, it just seems like a lot of overhead and not like that much.
I wonder how many. I'm sure. I mean, they've got some smart people behind some of those. I know because I know one of them like Cubans behind, and like I wonder. I bet a lot of them are doing that because I'm thinking of like every movie theater usually has like that little like complex attached to it. I wonder if they just buy the whole land, own the complex, and put a movie theater there, which would make more sense. But that is interesting. I wonder.
And get rent from like the other businesses and stuff. If they took more of a McDonald's route, that'd be genius. Like that would keep them around much longer than. But
right.
And that's not to say that I'm right. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like I got
right. That's just how you go into it.
That's just my thought and my opinion, and it would be difficult for me to like invest in something, especially like if we're talking about $10 plus $1,000, like which I've got. I gotta believe in it. I gotta think that
you gotta have that conviction.
Yeah. And I just don't have it with AMC. So I missed that train. I also missed the Doge squeeze was I missed on that. But that's because I just don't like I'm all into like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think they're solid, but Doge I don't think long term. For now, like Doge, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know enough about exactly what it is. It's kind of like my understanding is it started as a meme. Like
exactly.
And then and so it's like there's not like Bitcoin there's an algorithm and a particular way of that it's set up, and with all the technical AI IT shit that I don't know anything about, that's coded in a certain way that like it like self-checks itself and self-regulates, and so it's like it runs on its own without any human interaction. And so that's part of what makes it so revolutionary, is that it's like
I would assume Doge would have to have that as well, just because of how much it's being traded, like the volume it's being traded at now. Whether it started as that or not, probably not.
I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Somebody definitely could have taken it over and adapted some.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I haven't followed it closely enough. I don't really know who started it. I know it started as a meme coin, and I don't know if someone else took it over and decided to get serious, or if the person who like started it is still like in charge and running over there, and it's just like, oh, let me actually turn this into a real thing now. But
so I can't say much about Dogecoin, but I know I have a decent idea of what Ethereum and Bitcoin are and why they're reliable and why they're why I think they're going to be like Bitcoin, I think is going to destroy the banking industry.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know when, but
specifically crypto's just doing that, right? Like,
yeah, but I would say Bitcoin is the most from what I've learned, Bitcoin's the most like tamper proof, or so it's like the most reliable, or what's the fungible? Is that, I don't know if that's the right word.
Yep.
It's the most fungible cryptocurrency.
Nice.
For like a bunch of reasons that
makes
I don't exactly understand, but it's pretty dope.
So when it was like tanking, I don't know, I think it's back up now. I don't think it's back up, but when it was tanking like a month ago, were you like FML or?
No, I was like buy. It was on sale for me. Yeah, that was, I was like in the cartoons where like the dude's eyes turned to dollar signs. That was me. Because I hadn't like bought that much of it because it was so expensive that I was like, this isn't worth it. Like, right. I have over 10K, but I don't have enough to buy a whole Bitcoin, which at the time was like 60,000, and I was like, I just don't know that I want to do that. And it tanked, and I was like, boom, 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 boom.
What did it drop down to?
29,000 and some change.
Sheesh. I know people. That's why people was crying.
Yeah.
What's it at now? Like 48, 50?
Last I saw was around 40, like high 30s, but that was like 2 days ago.
Okay.
I'm looking at, it's at 36 right now. 36.
Oh, yes. It still hasn't even taken a jump back up if it went all the way down to 29.
Yeah. It's, and like to some extent, maybe the price was a little bit inflated because like everything has been. Like when Trump was president, shit was like the last year or two that he was president, the whole stock market was up an insane amount. And then the pandemic hit, and it tanked in March of 2020, it tanked like a shit ton. It crashed. And then over the next, it caught up to where it was in like 4 months. And then within like 8 months, it was doubling. It was double what, like the averages were double what they were pre-crash.
Right.
Which is crazy. So it's there's a dude, Michael Burry. Did you ever watch The Big Short?
Oh, I've seen that movie. I haven't watched it recently, but I've seen that movie before. Yeah.
Great movie though, right? You liked it?
Yeah, it is. The
dude that is Christian Bale in that movie, though, kind of like seems like he's got like Asperger's or something. He's Michael Burry, and he's the real life dude I follow on Twitter. And so for those who don't know, he shorted back in like 2006, 2007, he shorted the housing industry because he saw that like essentially it's relatively similar to what we've got going on now.
Right.
He shorted the housing industry because basically well, there's not really a basic way to put it. Many things were going wrong. So people were getting loans that were considered good loans, but they were actually like, so there's really high quality loans that are like have a good interest rate and like I don't know what the hell else goes into it, but all the conditions that go into getting a loan. And this also, by the way, this connects to how the banking system is corrupt and bad, and maybe not bad, but they're corrupt and then they're going to get wiped out by Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. But anyway, so there's loans that have good terms and good conditions and good thing that allow, that's why you have a credit score. So like the higher your credit score, the better loan you can get, better terms and things. So if you have a good loan, that's great. But I think it's like A, double A, B, and double B, or maybe triple B and triple A, something like that. That's how they categorize them. And like triple B is the worst. Well, people were like, the big banks and corporations were regrouping, like say 3 or 4 triple B loans and then selling it to mortgage lenders as a like triple or as a or double A loan. So it's like the shittiest loans that you could possibly get smashed together and then presented as though they were great loans. And so Michael Burry saw this and was like, this is happening at an astonishing rate that isn't sustainable, that's eventually going to implode, and people are going to get fucked over by this. Like they're, I know I have people that I know personally that had to declare bankruptcy because of it.
Mm-hmm. Didn't they, not to interrupt, did they pay him? Did he get the money that he shorted? Like,
yeah.
Wasn't there like something like they tried to like stall it or not like give it to him or something initially?
He didn't get all of it.
Okay, so that's what it was.
But it was still billions of dollars. Right. Maybe not billions. It may have been like 1 or 2 billion, but I think, and this is not, I don't know the facts, but I think it was like close. What he should have been owed was closer to like 8 or 9 billion, something like that. I think it's if you watch The Big Short, I think it's at the end of the movie. They say that he got like X amount, but like they couldn't give him the places that I guess it's the I don't know what, because it's like a certain company, because it's not the people that there's like a federal shit federal what do you call it,
institution.
Thank you. Institution that checks all of this and like tries to maintain, see what's going on. And there's a whole scene in the movie where they essentially are like, they're passing all these, they're seeing all these shit loans that are being clumped together and then sold as great loans, and they're just signing right off, passing them on like that. And he's like, wait, what the fuck are y'all doing? And that I think that might have been the point where he was like, oh, I'm shorting this whole thing is insane.
Which the issue behind that, by the way, it's not even so much that they did that was the issue. The issue for everyone that doesn't realize is that we operate under a fractional reserve bank.
Yes.
Which means fractional reserve means that like when you put $100 in there, there's not really $100 in there. And if you ask most people how much, like people don't realize how little they actually have to keep on hand. It's only 3%.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was like 10.
Oh, it's
3%. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking ridiculous.
So for every $100 you put in there, then I have to keep 3. And so like when he's saying when you're doing that and then that stuff gets called and when it burnt, like there's nothing backing the loans that they were giving either. So it's like, oh shit. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why it's like a delicate dance, a delicate balance that you, once it goes out of balance. So for example, like right now, I don't know anyone who's bought a house in the last 2 to 3 years that hasn't put in an offer that's over the listing price. That's just in Columbus. I can't imagine what it's like in, Florida or California or what, places like that. It was like that with everything back in 2006, 7, leading up to that. Like there was everything was way overpriced. But then everything was way overpriced, but you could get 2 mortgages. If you somehow figured out a way, you didn't have to like show, pay stubs. You didn't have to do nothing. You could. They would say you fog up a mirror, you can get a mortgage. And so like people were given. There's a scene in that movie too where they they were bragging about how they gave a loan to this guy's dog.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like. It was to that extent. Like it wasn't and people don't have a fucking clue, the people that are at the bottom, like loan officers and things like that, they're just like, they're going to take whatever they can get. Right, so if they can sell a shit ton of loans,
right, because it's just stop them, like, because in general the banks make money off the interest, and so it was like, I don't know if I guess it was I don't want to say it's the first time, but I guess it seemed like it was the first time where they realized under this fractional reserve bank too. And I'm not sure if it was something that happened in the previous presidency that lowered, because this stuff changed all the time, the percentage, how much they have to keep on hand, but it's usually always going down. Like it's become less and less and less.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, they make money off the interest. And so it was just like, let's just approve it's in their benefit to just give people loans, because I don't really have to keep this money on hand anyway. And when I give you a loan, I make money back on the interest. And so they just were like, let's just give everybody a fucking loan.
Yep.
Because I think they were gambling on, hey, whatever banking data, whatever years of history you're looking at, this has never really been called. Like, we're never really called to the table on needing to produce the money that's in the bank. And so they went rabid and fucked everything up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the number of people that, well, the sickening part is how many people, because people that are up that high in the industry, they're not dumb.
Mm-mm.
They knew what they were doing. Most of them, I would say most of them, if not all, and chose to do it anyway, just to, because get, fucking make hay while the sun shines, or whatever you say, whatever that phrase is. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, let me get mines, and if I, destroy the entire economy and, people's 401ks and stuff go down the toilet, like, oh well, oops.
You want to know what I think actually happened?
Okay, please.
Is like you're saying, there's people that like whatever conspiracy. There are people on this planet, we've talked about in any industry, like there's people who pretty much run everything, right? Like, no, it's not the fucking president. Like the president's so fucking weak and like on the bottom of the food chain. The president might as well be you.
Well, it's like he's maybe a tier above the Queen of England.
Right. Like
you're just a figurehead.
Yeah.
You're a puppet. You're a puppet for all these other.
Right. Because like, for instance, like there's people, and it's really not hidden. People just don't take it. Like we've talked about even like in media companies, the fact that on this entire planet, the planet, not our country, there's only 4 people who run all the media. Like, yes, there's all these media companies, but 4 people own all of them. Like, that's what I mean by like, I think that those people, whoever, right? Not necessarily the media people.
Yeah.
I think there was a play made to redistribute the wealth. So like maybe I'm the lowest of the 4 and I'm trying to, it's a just power grab, right? And so like you said, everyone else is just a wheel in the cog. They will do whatever they're taught.
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, because one of the ways you make a power grab is during distress. I mean, that's a war tactic. It's a financial like you have to crash something to be able to go usually get a power grab. Like that's the tactic. And was like, oh, let's go crash this economy, because when it does, then we're going to be able to grab up this much more, and I'm going to, And
same thing happened during the pandemic.
Right.
Which I'm sure in a couple of years, some shit will come out about how that might have been organized to some degree.
Mm-hmm. So some of it's, like you said, is literally created. The other piece of it is, hey, let's capitalize on something that's happening. And they can blow it up bigger than necessary to, like you said, redistribute and make a power grab towards something. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and this is an interesting conversation too, because I've been on Dan Price's jock on Twitter for a good, probably like a month or two now. Longer than that. I've been really like following him closely recently. But he, for the listeners, he's a CEO in Seattle, Washington, I think, who cut his CEO pay by $1 million so that he could pay all of his employees, which is like 200 plus, maybe more than that. I don't know exactly. A lot, a pretty solid amount of employees. Pay them all at least $70,000 in salary. And he that was sort of like something that put him on the map, and he wrote a book about it, and it's pretty cool. But he also tweets a lot of like interesting facts and information about wealth and things like that. Well, let's just say wealth in general, wealth broadly speaking, in our country today. And I don't agree with everything he says. I still, so one of the things he talks about all the time, and I'm going to tie this into what we're saying, like the power thing. That's interesting to me because, it's maybe it's just the nature of our economy, but it doesn't seem. I don't believe in like, coincidences. I think that just, the pandemic allowed for many, many wealthy people to make way, way, way more money than they ever have. And like, good for them. Like, that's what's up. But it seems the gap seems to be widening between the people that have very little or none and those that have more than they could ever spend. And so, like I said, there's certain pieces and things that he says that I agree with, and certain things I don't. So like, I think that, personally, so he's big on making the rich pay taxes, and I'm down with that. I think we've discussed before, I think setting like a flat rate federally, so like every state, there's a flat rate for all businesses. And so it's not a situation where like, you're doing deal as a big corporation or any sort of corporation, you're making deals with your local government to get taxes pushed off into the future so that, you can do X, Y, and Z. How about we let's just set it at, 3%, 5%, 8%. And then there's no, I don't have to, because if there's one thing I know, it's that most government people are incompetent bureaucrats. And I think we can agree on that. I don't know many people that think that the people in the government are like, I don't think I'm alone.
I think maybe in rural areas sometimes With I think we saw that a little bit with the base that usually never votes that Trump got out. But other than that, I mean, the average, I think it's like 80% of the average Americans don't trust, like you said, like the government on any level at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think we can, a lot of people can agree with that. And if you don't, like, whatever, don't care. My problem with what he says often is just make the rich pay taxes. And I'm with that, but I don't want to give the money to the government. And that's what taxes are. And that is what I don't like, is because I don't want to give my money to incompetent bureaucrats. I want to give my money back to the fucking people. So instead of, and he does this, like, this isn't something that he doesn't talk about, but he preaches the make the rich pay taxes. Excuse me. But I think what would be better is to try to convince other CEOs, other people that are super wealthy, to do similar things that what he's done. And, if it's so easy to cut your CEO pay by $1 million and not feel anything and actually grow, like he shows all the stats that back up how much more successful his company has been and how, they've been able to double and triple the sort of the production that they've made. Let's try to let's talk to Bezos about that. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk to who, try to scale it that way. I think that's a better solution than trying to get, funnel it through the fucking government and then to the people. Because that, we know that ain't happening. That's going to, the military industrial complex and shit like that.
Yeah, what's funny about it is the conversation is wrong, as it often is in media. Anytime there's a conversation in media, you're looking at the wrong thing, right? We don't have a tax issue. We don't have this is not about the wealthy people need to pay taxes.
Exactly.
Because first of all, that conversation it's a fabricated excuse that the government uses for not using the funds that they have appropriately.
Yes.
And so they tell the people and turn around, we can't do that.
Because we don't have the money.
We don't have the money, yes. And if we were, we'd have to raise your taxes. Well, then the guy that's like only making 30 is like, raise my taxes. Why don't you raise his taxes? Right. And so that now the conversation's about that. And it's like, no, the government has more than enough money to do whatever it needs to do. They misappropriate the funds that they use.
Yeah.
And you can look at this even from the argument. If the government was really in need of more funds, like you said, they would make these companies and people pay, like they would change the tax code.
They would legit tomorrow sign the shit and it's on.
The tax code is not the US Constitution. Like, it's not something where it's like this. They can literally change the tax code like this. Like it
happens all the time. Well, shit have like interest rates. Shit, like that's part of the tax code is like and capital gains tax. That shit changes.
It's literally a stroke of the pen. So literally, if they want it, like that's not what it's about. And so, like,
this is huge. This is you're saying this is perfectly said. I love it.
So that's why I hate the conversation. It's like the same conversation of like gun violence. Well, there's no such thing as gun violence. Now, do people create violence with guns? Absolutely. But let me ask you another question. Has anyone ever purposely got in a car and ran out and killed another human being on purpose? Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever heard of car violence? No, it's not a thing, right? Because it can't exist. Like, and so because anytime there's a but the people use words in the media, use words to create this conversation around these things. That's not really the issue. So that you get busy over here and nothing changes.
Yeah.
And so like I said, the real issue is like, one, they're misusing the funds that they have. We don't need more in taxes, honestly.
Yeah.
If we did, I guarantee you, if United States was in trouble and really needed the tax money, they would, with a stroke of the pen, get all the taxes that they need. You can guarantee any country is going to do that on any planet, always has in the history of the world.
And jumping back in history, before we had the Constitution, we had the Articles of Confederation.
Yep.
It's not the Southern States Confederation. Different. Right. Basically, this was Constitution 1.0. And that shit was basically every state. It was, so we think of the federal government as like Big Daddy, and then the states are below the federal government. Well, this was reversed. The states, they were Big Daddy, and the federal government came second. And that became a problem during wartime because the federal government, the states were like, fuck you, you ain't getting none of our money. We're going to keep it in our state. And so the federal government wasn't able to organize militarily and otherwise, like, with aid and like weaponry and or even just like food and all the things that go into maintaining, because I hope that we think that having a military is pretty important. Otherwise your ass is getting fucked up. Like, so the Articles of Confederation, they got trashed after like, I don't know, like 10 years, something like that, because it didn't work. And so the Constitution came around and switched the balance to where the federal government was Big Daddy. They could, bring the hammer down if needed. But the point is,
didn't that, do you know, because just to not to cut you off, didn't that happen? Because I remember this was around when Hamilton and them were just like starting this. It wasn't one of the reasons for that is because my understanding of it is in order to get a loan, we had to get a loan from other countries, like, because you need money. And like you're saying, when it was switched, they couldn't pull the resources to go federally and say, hey, we got a loan from the bank, whatever country or kingdom in order to do this. And so that was I believe that was one of the main things. Like you're saying, they couldn't really pull anything together because, well, Owen's state is doing what he wants and Elijah's state is doing. So when they switched it, they were able to gather all of them and get money as the federal government and push it to the states, which is why they still today, like Trump did that. Hey, you want to go against what I'm doing? We'll hold federal money from you. Wasn't that like how part of the power structure?
Yeah, that was part of it for sure. Like everything, there's a ton of things that go into why things work or don't work. And so yeah, that was part of it. General like organization of military is, from my understanding, that was like a big part of it, because that was like right after Declaration of Independence was 1776, and then shortly after that, the Articles of Confederation were put in place. And that's why the Constitution didn't come, that didn't happen until 1789. And so that's why there's a huge, like disconnect there. Well, not huge, but 13-ish years of because there was a time where we had another constitution. Anyway, so yeah, that was part of it. Military needs was part of it. I'm sure there was there was certain areas that were like southern states, I'm sure were bullying other states because like they had free labor. Like, you know what I mean? Like they could make things for way cheaper than other places and then sell it for, the same rate or maybe, even less. And so they would just undercut each other. And it was like states were just, it was like the states were not, that there wasn't like a union between the states. It was like everybody was trying to one up each other. So all of that went into it. What was the direction that we were going in? Why did I bring up the Articles of Confederation?
What we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I remember now. So the taxes back then, if the federal government asked for taxes from the states during the Articles of Confederation, the states could be like, fuck you. And so then the federal government's like, well, shit. And there's nothing they can do. But like we said, now, and that there's all kinds of problems that come with that. Like we just went over them. So it seems like a decent setup to have it the way we have it now. And like you said, if they didn't have enough money, best believe that before you wake up in the morning, your taxes are where they need to be. They will get theirs, whether you like it or not.
Well, especially now, because literally this happens to some people. Like if you don't pay your taxes, people don't really, like they can literally just garnish your wages. Like It's easy. Like they'll literally just go into your bank account and take your money. Like
people, on God, they will take your shit.
Exactly.
That's why I just don't, like you said from the beginning, the conversation is wrong. This is not, more taxes, less taxes, tax the rich, leave us alone, the low people, let us do. That's not the conversation. I personally like the system the way it's set up because you know what? It incentivizes me to give less money to the government, who I don't think can fucking handle it, clearly.
Which is why it's created, right? Think about like the wealthier people when this was created, like ran the government as well. And so like you're saying, it's kind of set up. The tax code is written. By the way, I think like the other thing I think I tweeted too, and you had liked, and I know you agree with this, was that people always try to act like rich people are doing something shady. Like, guys, there's literally a thing called the tax code, and the tax code is like this thick. Like but all it's the tax
Harry Potter book.
Right. Yeah. Like all it is all the things that you can literally do to not pay taxes. So like you said, a lot of times, all they're really just doing is deferring taxes into the future and into the future and into the future and into the future and into the future, because there's really no, certain situations, right? Each one there is, like real estate's an easy one. Like you can defer up to 30 years, right? That's the simplest one that everyone understands. Like if I can defer it up to 30 years. Okay, but what's funny about that is I can take in 30 years, so I get all that profit, don't pay tax on it. And then if I want to defer taxes for the next 30 years, guess what I'll do? Take the profit, turn around, buy another property for 30 years and defer those taxes and another taxes. So like, you're just pushing it off. But like you were saying, why wouldn't I? And I think
exactly, and that's how everyone should think.
Exactly. Right. Like, and I think it was set up that way because even the wealthy people who were in it were like, well, I'm not going to give it back to us. Like, they're in running the government. They're like, we're not doing it. Like, why would I give, like, yeah, everyone's got to pay some taxes, but I'm not going to be in a rush to give it back to us because we're not doing, like, you have to understand what it, like the tax code wasn't created by non-wealthy people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the same people who are wealthy.
It wasn't no bums that never had money before who created the tax code. It wasn't like some corrupt, well, maybe corrupt. It was people that were interested in maintaining their money.
Right.
That's who made the tax code. So if you're interested in having more money, then maybe you should know something about the tax code.
Yep.
And that should be the foundation. That's where we start.
And that is really why
less taxes. That should be the conversation.
Exactly. Like, well, because like you're saying, like no one wants to really pay taxes anyway. So like,
I don't know anybody that, and this goes back to the government in general. And there's a laundry list of reasons why the government are, generally speaking, incompetent bureaucrats. It's you have all the money you could ever need, but like the communities that I grew up in are there's like there's a dividing lines where the taxes start and stop, where certain areas clearly get more tax dollars than others, where, there's a long history of all kinds of fucked up shit. And so the bottom line is, like, why would I want to give my money to someone that's incompetent at handling money? It doesn't make sense. That even if you're not a business person, if you're just a person in general, why would you pay somebody to do something that they suck at? That doesn't make sense. So the argument isn't, have the rich pay more in taxes. No, you pay less in taxes because you can. It's not like you're not allowed to.
Also realizes most people, like the average person, can't use the tax code to its fullest advantage. Yeah. And it's because, by the way, the government doesn't trust you. So one of the things that happens as soon as I declare myself a business owner and work for myself is I take back control and I decide when I pay taxes. Now, not meaning like I should file my taxes and pay them every year, but I'm in control. When you are not that, they take it out before you ever get your money. They literally don't trust you. Yes. So they go, oh, whoa. They take it before you ever see it.
Every paycheck.
Right. So like
cut off.
They're literally they're binding you from even using the tax code because they take your money before you see your money. When you're an entrepreneur, I get my money and then
I decide, sorry to interrupt, but then they decide, all right, we got enough. Here's a couple thousand back to, wet your whistle.
Well, yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like the average person, that's what I was getting to. So I get my money and I use my money for whatever I want, like my full money. I don't make 10,000. The government already took 6 of it. And so I only got 4. No. I get $10,000 because I worked hard for it, just like you worked hard for your money. And so you should get all your money. And I know that I will have to pay taxes on this money unless I go into the tax code and put it in places or do things to defer or minimize the amount that I give back to the government. They don't even allow you to do that because they took it from you. And so what people get excited about is the refund check. They don't realize the reason you get a refund check is because you overpaid in taxes. So now it's a computer, but literally this is what a refund check is. So
I know, but just the fucking yell, like,
because people are like stupid. Like the computer looks over and says, "Oh, sorry, Owen, we actually took too much from you. According to the tax code, this is how much we owe you."
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't trust your ass because I don't like. Are you really giving me the money I owe? But you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like. That's the whole thing. So you're not doing anything sinister. Like, why would you let anyone, like, say you work hard every day for your family. Let's say you make, your $3,000. You're going to let the government, before they give you your money, take 1,500 of it. What? Like I worked hard for it. Why would I, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would,
why are you
and then they do that over and over. Then they're like, oh, my bad. Yeah. All year when you needed that money and you worked really hard. Our bad. Yeah, we took too much.
Our bad.
like what system? Like people have to understand the actual system and stop just going on with what media is being pushed out to them. Like, in no situation would you go to the average person and that makes sense. Like if like your brother does my grass, if I'm like, hey dude, come to my grass, and he sends me the invoice, and so I pay him the money, but I'm like, oh, he tells me that I'm gonna pay the money, but before I give him the money, I actually give it to you and you take half of it and like, here you go, Sam.
Yeah.
He would be like, what type of system is that? That's the dumbest thing in the world. He'd be like, dude, stop giving my brother the money. Give it to me. That's exactly what's happening in your everyday life. Like it makes
every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks when your ass is like, payday.
And I love it. People get they're like, I'm waiting on my refund check.
My God, that pisses me off so much. If you're hype over a refund check, you got it all backwards. Like you need to wait.
My mother-in-law gets sad. She's like, my refund check was smaller this year. I was like, that's good. I was like, I can't remember the last time I got one. And she was like, no, I don't want it to be lower. I'm like, yes, you do. That means you didn't overpay the government. Like, in what world do I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm getting this big check back? Like,
I know.
No, I'm mad. Like, this is what I should have had in my pocket, like, already.
I know.
That's
the, like, it's a delicate balance for me. Like I when I fill out because I do work for a paycheck as a teacher, but I got it all coming in. What's Drake say?
Lump sum and residual.
Yeah.
In lump sum and
got
residual.
it coming in lump sum and residual. So when I fill out the because there's with the W-2, I think you got to do like a W-9 or something like that before you start. And I always put I declare like the lowest thing that I can so that I get as much money for myself right now. Because I know, and I don't trust the government to be, and like, trust is a complicated word. I want my money right now. I don't want to give it to someone else. If we get to the point where we come to tax time and I owe you a thou, whatever, take it. But I had it until then in my possession, probably in a investment account, or in my doing something, getting busy. Not in the Federal Reserve doing absolutely nothing, funding like our conquering of the Middle East or some shit, bombing Syria. Like, that's not what my money was doing.
Right. And the other thing that people don't understand too about taxes, like, again, the government doesn't care about they have more than enough. They just print money when they want to. They did that in the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, with that, like, that's real bad.
Well, I know, but this like they do that all the time.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
when
if
they want,
like
like,
money, they gonna get it.
Yeah, like, and so, like I said, the conversation's all wrong. People don't even understand it. And when people, I'm just like, oh yeah, and then people, oh, they made this much money. Like, it's the whole thing's stupid. It's designed to keep people stuck exactly where they are in the same old cycle versus becoming aware to what's actually going on and changing their situation.
And so, like, practically, maybe you can dive into this, because I feel like you probably have a little more experience with this, and maybe some of your clients are this way too. Like, what's a practical way to start stepping out of that path and getting onto more of a, like, self-ownership, like, business person sort of mindset?
I mean, I don't even know, to my understanding, and it would be foreign and you'd be fault on this, but like, it doesn't mean everyone has to become an entrepreneur, but like, even just in the realm of taxes, to my understanding, there is nothing legally that says you have to as a I think actually the W-2 is maybe what does it. There may be something in tax code that does it, but like, as an employee, I know just because there's a way that you can opt out of, even as a W-2 employee, that you can opt out of paying into Social Security, which is part of the taxes that they would take out, right? Like,
yep.
And so I don't think there's anything in the tax code that says you can't go and like, you'd have to find it, or like, I'm sure there's someone already doing it. They can go and be like, give me all my money, I will pay. Like I said, that's not that foreign because all entrepreneurs do it anyway. But It's like you said, it's a different election. Like, for instance, like, contractors do, like I said, a W-9, right? Okay, So it's just a different election. And I think that's what actually happens. I think you can go to your employer and request not to be a W-2 election and be something else, which changes the tax code to you, and you can get all your money. Like, that's just something simple. But that's what I mean. We're so not, like, people just, like, people are not aware to, like.
Yeah. So what it comes down to is you got to take the ownership and educate yourself,
right,
on what you need to do, because you have options, you have choices. Like, in fucking China and Russia, I'm sure you don't have these choices.
Right.
Here you do. Now,
and that's the biggest trick.
Most people are stupid, and or most people don't want to do it.
Exactly. When people think of freedom, they just say, "Oh yeah, well, I don't live." They just say that. No, America is the freest country, like I said, in our DNA. But people don't. The everyday person's not free because they're not using the freedoms. Like you're saying, this is what we're talking about.
You got to use it. Exactly.
Exactly. In other countries, people don't even have the choice. You have the choice, and you and your parents and their parents and parents have elected to be stupid. You've elected to be dumb to the reality that you have these, and you just, well, this is the way it is. And so you're actually not free. You're like the person in China because you're not aware of your options to exercise.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
And, like, to some extent, maybe it ain't all your fault. Like, maybe, your parents did it this way, and your parents' parents did it this way. And I know for a fact, school didn't teach you nothing about this. So, like, where are you gonna see this or even think that it's possible? Read a book. Oh, whoops. Nobody reads anymore. Not even me. Audio, baby. But that's what I'm saying. So, like, you have to, if you want it, you have to get it. If you want to, like, being a go-getter is a real thing. If you want to go get something, if you want a better life, if you want to, change your circumstances, change where your families come from or where you grew up or where, whatever. Or you want to pay less in taxes, or you want to do more good in the world. Maybe you want to help a bunch of people. Then, like, maybe just try. You may not have the option, but at least, like, research it, educate yourself, and try to find it. Because I would say most of the time, there is a choice. You do have the option. And that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like, I mean, we talked about it a while ago, but even like, this is in every industry, and I don't claim to know it all. Like I said, I'm always constantly learning and surrounding myself around the people that understand these things. But like, even like we were talking about with how people buy homes.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going and get traditional. Like wealthy people don't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm now all in on that. Getting a home equity line of credit, like I didn't even know that existed. And here
that's my point. Like most people don't even know what to wear.
Exactly.
And it's like you were saying, it's because some of it, like, in like our school system's the same way. Like, there's so many, like, we're so many lines down from when everyone knew about the choices that you literally don't even realize it's like a choice. So like, and the people like, for instance, the mortgage, the people selling it to you don't even realize it's a choice. They're like, you'll walk into some place and be like, hey, yeah, I want a HELOC. And they're going to be like, oh, I don't think you can do that. Or they're just taught not to let you, like, to say, oh, you don't want to do that. Like, they don't even realize that it's a choice or it's better or why. Like, not because they're like, they literally don't know because we're so far from.
Yeah. Well, and their company, I'm sure, instructs them, and this is when I was in the industry, I was instructed to not offer HELOCs, but to sort of discourage them.
Yep.
Because of higher interest rate, it's whatever, like, I don't remember all the things, but there's a couple of reasons why. And so you just are told the cons. There's nobody told me about the pros. So I always had it in my head, like, well, they're harder to get. You got to have a really high credit score. For the most part, most mortgage companies aren't giving them out. You're better off just getting a second mortgage. Well, if you think about it, what's in the best interest of a mortgage company? to have more fucking mortgages.
Right. For a longer interest, which is why they don't want you to do it, by the way.
Exactly. So
they're really mandated to have that, which is why, like you said, when they're teaching the people to sell it, it's like, oh, okay, we have this other thing over here that they don't really want to offer. And it's like, just tell them it's really difficult to get and get them over here because they want you in. Even if your interest percent is 1%, where am I going to make more money? If you only pay your interest for 5 or 7 years or 15 or 30, like, and you're focused on the interest rate. And that's why they don't want, like, they're like, oh yeah. And I was reading the book by a dude that I learned this from, and who used to be in the industry, and he was like, I'll find it here and actually showed it on video too. But he was saying that he was like that's how they get you. Like, it's the lower interest rate, and you're thinking, oh, I'm down to like 2%. And it's like 2% doesn't matter if you're paying it over 30 years.
Exactly.
Like, do the math. People don't do the math. You just see, well, 2 is lower than 8.
Yeah.
Okay, 8's only for 5. You're like, you're not even like,
low interest rate.
Yeah.
Give me 8. 30.
So, and then did you know the average American moves 3 times? Adult will move 3 times. And so what do people do? Yeah, they restart the site. You got like, or we'll refinance too, which is why they're encouraged to refinance. Like, oh, people get so excited by that.
How stupid is that? I can't imagine, like
you guys, you push the fucking reset button.
Oh my God. I know too many people close to me that have refinanced their home. And I get, like, sometimes, I guess sometimes, financial troubles hit, and that maybe you need to do it. But like, I know people that were excuse me, like a few years away from paying it off, and then re-upped for another 30 years. And I'm just like,
they're like, I got a lower interest rate, and my monthly payment dropped by $150 or $200. It's like,
and this is me. Just
you're so far gone. Like, you're so focused on trying to save a couple $100 on your mortgage payment. You just cost yourself thousands of dollars. Literally thousands. That's how banks only make their money on interest. Like,
but it's not hard, like, math. Like, just do the arithmetic. Pay 2% of your fucking mortgage, of your whatever percentage of your shit is interest. Take that, because they itemize it and show you the exact amount that you pay in interest.
Yep.
And it's like I don't know what you call it. It's like serpentined. So like, you pay like a shit ton of interest at the beginning, and then by the end of the loan, you're eventually getting to the point where you pay.
Why they do that? Like you were saying, so most people don't realize that
they get all their money right now.
They're paying all of that, and all you're paying off is interest.
Exactly.
And then right when you're getting to the point where you'd probably be starting to pay towards the actual house, or the bulk amount of that's going towards the house, then you refinance. And guess what? It restarts, and all the money you're paying, your payment stays the same, but you're only paying interest. Like, it's
So what I'm saying, the itemized amount that you get, replace your mortgage by, who's the guy?
Michael Lush and David Dutton.
Got it.
This guy was like, he was like top in like America or something as like a financial or loan offer, something. But yeah, that's the book.
Oh wow, that's what's up. Anyway, so take that itemized amount, $50, $100, $150, over the course of 30 years. What versus paying 8% over 8 years? Like, that's all it takes. That's all the math that you need. Do that, run the freaking numbers, and then you'll see. Like,
and do the math that we were just talking about too, which you have to see. It depends on what type of mortgage you get approved for, and all these. They'll try to sell you all these extra things when you get it that just extend it, like, that you don't really need. But also see how your loan's structured so you understand, because maybe you say, oh, you do the math, but it's all the hidden things inside too. So, but like, oh, for the first 10 years of you paying the traditional, let's say 80% of that, maybe all of it, like it just depends on 70% of it only went towards interest.
Yep.
And so let me inform you on something. Let's say if it's 100, just for a sake of example, you actually haven't paid a penny towards your house. Now you've been paying for 10 years. You haven't paid a penny towards the house. 10 years on the HELOC, you actually paid the house off, own it, and have all the money in cash as a bank. Like,
and that is that's called your amortization chart, is where that info is. And on mine, and like when I bought this place, I didn't know about that. I mean, I knew that I paid the interest first, but I didn't know about the home equity line of credit strategy. Mm-hmm. If I might be able to add a HELOC onto this mortgage and try to figure out I'm looking into that.
You've had that place for a year, right?
It'll be a year in October.
In October is when you need September. To do it. Because they'll really give you a hard time trying to do it outright. It's possible, but it'll give you a hard time. But it's easier once you've had your like you can go get a traditional for a year and
you do it. For most people that I know, they do it on like maybe 20-ish, maybe longer than that, years ago, probably 20 years ago. That was a very common thing, like to have a home equity line of credit on your mortgage. And I'm sure, I don't know the history or I don't know all the info about it. So I'm sure there was some, it could just be interest. Like the mortgage lender gets more money if you have more mortgages. So they're going to push that over a home equity line of credit. Anyway.
What people don't realize is that a mortgage is a product created.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
Say more about that. I'm interested. So, it's a product created.
Yes. Yeah, so banking is really an interesting industry because you have to understand what banking is. They don't provide a service. They don't really have an actual it's not a traditional business where we create something, a service product, and we sell it to you. They don't have that. Doesn't exist for banks. So first of all, what they do is I set up a bank and I say, oh, and I'm going to keep this money safe for you. You give me $100. Now, the cool thing is I have this deal with the government. And so I only have to keep $3 of it. Well, what do they do with the other $97? Well, they go take it to the stock market so it can grow and make them more money.
Yep.
And I loan it. So I'm going to loan this money to Sam and I'm going to charge Sam interest on it. Sam, you're working hard, dude. I'm going to give you $97, but I'm going to charge you 22% interest on it for a credit card.
Yeah.
And so I make my money all that. So I'm growing my money over here in this, but hold on. It's not my money. I'm using Owen's money to become rich.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just the concept of banking. And then they get greedy and say, how can we make more money? Well, they create product. Like people think, oh, they're helping me out, like to buy a house. No, it's a product created to do what?
Make them more money.
Generate interest, yes, off of other people's money. So once I get enough people, I turn around and I say, hey, you know what, Owen, I'll let you buy this house. You deserve a house, man. Literally, the American dream of a house on a hill was literally a marketing strategy and campaign built by bankers. I can't remember the year. And it was pushed out.
I heard about this.
Every American needs to have a home. It was literally just marketing. And it was so that everyone would feel like, oh yeah, you need to buy the, and specifically, you'll hear people come from other countries and say, the houses here are so big, specifically big houses, so that they could be bigger projects, more money, longer interest.
Yep.
And so, and because the common person, the non-wealthy person, and I'm not talking about how much, we've talked about this before. I'm not talking about how much money you have in your bank account. It's up here. The non-wealthy person doesn't do the math. Like wealthy people always know the math. They're looking at those percentages. And so they put it around these small monthly payments like, oh, it's only going to be X amount. So you're not looking at the interest. And so they literally create these products. They sit around and they try to create different mortgage products where they can slip in extra things and interest so that they can make more money, not to help you just buy a house. Like they're not just, because, and people are so stupid. They think I'm going to the bank so they can loan me their money so I can do something. No, they take your money and loan it back to you with interest and give you none of the profits. Again, if I did a business deal like that with you, you would want me thrown in jail. Yep, like if an individual did that, and people don't even understand how it works. And so, like I said,
which is why Bitcoin will entirely, top to bottom, annihilate that system. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well,
the conditions are right.
Right.
There's a lot that has to happen for that to happen, but what you just spelled out perfectly, is exactly why Bitcoin is so popular and why me personally, I have a lot of conviction in it long term, is because the second we can stop doing that bullshit, where I'm loaning my money to myself to get a loan, and then I'm giving all the interest back to another person, to another entity, like if I can cut that out, how about I get with Bitcoin, in theory, well, really in practice, I could get a loan. With my own Bitcoin that I own, and then I give myself the interest instead of to someone else. So like it's just all of that happening, but your own person gets to do it. Now you got to educate yourself on how the fuck that happens.
Right.
It's complicated. Just like you spelled how the banking industry works. Like you gotta take some time and learn.
Right. And the cool thing about Bitcoin is, like you were saying, not only can you do it, it's decentralized. Yeah. So like, it's not that still doesn't happen, but it's not to one specific individual or one specific institution where that's happening. Like you said, I can turn around and it's happening for the greater good of that cryptocurrency that you're investing in.
Yes. So it's not just me getting it. It's
everyone. So which raises the value of all the Bitcoin, for instance, if that's a cryptocurrency. And so like I said, everyone's now is worth, because it's not just going to one person. And the reason people don't realize that is because people actually don't understand how to create wealth. Yeah. Like the number one wealth principle that every wealthy person understands is that when they get money, like wealthy people are not wealthy because they get a lot of money. That doesn't make you wealthy. They take the money that they get, whatever amount that is, and they use that money and they make that money have sex with other monies so that the money that they have that they just got makes money babies.
Yeah.
That's wealth. Like you don't create wealth until the money you receive turns into more money. Poor people take the money they receive and either just save it or spend it. Wealthy people don't do that.
Yep.
So I said, have sex with it. Well, how do you do that? You invest in something by either loaning it to someone or investing it in something that produces what? More cash. And then they take that money and they repeat the process. And so like, that's how you become wealthy. And because people don't realize that, of course they don't understand how banking works. Like, and so the banking guy, dude, whoever came up with that was the smoothest, smartest motherfucker on this. He was like, my pockets are empty. He was like, why don't I just start a building?
Smoothest?
Dude, do you know how smooth that is? I don't have two pennies to rub together. I'm gonna create a building. I'm gonna be like, hey, you don't want to carry that around. Let me hold it.
Let me hold it.
And then while I'm holding it, I'm not gonna keep any of it here. Right. Well, even before that, before the government decides how much I have to keep on hand, right, it becomes regulated.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it for you, and then I'll loan it back out to you.
Huh?
Like,
and you're good with that. Let me line up for that shit.
Like that is. Oh yeah, you're right. Because what if somebody robs me? Well, that's what I have a gun for. Like,
oh my god, that's so crazy.
Like. And then as soon as like whoever thought of that, and then everyone's going to give me this money, and then I'll use their money to buy stuff that'll make me wealthy, because nobody needs their money all at the same time. Like that was the idea. Yep. And so again, I don't know exactly when, but then the government starts saying, okay, hey, you got to keep this much on hand just in case. So did you know people don't even have enough money to do this? Did you know right now, at whatever bank you go to, let's say some people do, right? Let's say you tried to go withdraw $5,000 from your bank right now. Did you know if you go to your bank right now and do that, they'll probably tell you they can't do it?
Yep.
You have to call in advance in almost every bank. It's usually 5 to 6 for them to withdraw because they literally don't have that much on hand.
Yep.
And they have to get it like driven in for you to do. Like your money is literally not even sitting in the bank. Like, it's ridiculous.
Brinks truck.
Yeah, literally. Like, I just had an entrepreneur friend. He was like, I tried to go get like $5,000. I'm like, I mean, he's got millions sitting in there, and he is ignorant to this. He was like, and they told me that they didn't have it, and that they'd have to they could have it for me tomorrow. He was like outraged, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty common, dude. Like, money.
Welcome to every bank.
Yeah, like they don't have the money on hand.
Yeah, I think this was years ago. I was like, I think I was buying a car, something like that.
Oh, one more. Wait. Go. Before I forget this, which is why back when you were talking about The Big Short, which is why the government wrote a emergency federal law locking people from going and getting their cash out.
Yes.
You remember that? Is why, because the bank doesn't have it on hand. And so literally there's laws in place that don't allow you to withdraw your money.
Yep. So the second you put it in a bank, it's no longer yours.
Exactly.
Which is something that
okay, I have a tip for them later, but go back to your story about when you're buying a car.
So just an anecdote. Like I think I pulled out like 5,000-6,000, and this was 7 years, 6-7 years ago, and I was like, I went up to my bank and tried to do it like out the ATM. And my dumbass was just like, all right, yeah, whatever. Or no, I didn't go to the ATM. I did go inside. I went inside. I wanted it all in hundreds.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, nah. You got to come back tomorrow. And I was like, oh, damn. And so, I think I was like, why? Don't y'all got my paper in there or what? And they were like, nah, we only have we keep I think this was out in like a little town out in the middle of nowhere. I think they said they keep like 2,000 on hand. And it's
even in unpopular, it's really not that much. They really don't keep a lot because of bank robberies in general.
Yeah.
But really, it's because like we were just talking about too. I mean, they'll say it's safety for employees and all those things, which is fine. But really, it's because in general, the bank literally doesn't have the money.
Yeah.
Like, especially now that everything's digital, like it comes in as a
exactly,
and immediately it goes in and they take it out and they go stock and invest or whatever, and it's gone. Like it's in something else. They literally don't have the money, and so and like I said, and our entire banking system is based on it's not even a principle, the hope that the people who are putting their money in the bank don't come ask for their money out of the bank.
Yep.
That literally will crash and turn America into a third world country because we've all heavily relied on the system now overnight. If like 25% of Americans just went and just withdrew all their cash out, it would have such huge impact on the entire country.
Yeah. And that's why I'm sure in the fine print, it's where it says that you don't, once you deposit your money, it's not your money. It's our money, and we'll try our best, but if we need it, we get it.
Which, here's my tip. I just learned this from one of my mentors. So the other thing that you should never do, you shouldn't do this regardless, but if you have any more than $250,000, it should never be in a fractional reserve bank. First off, the reason why is because it's only insured up to $250,000. And by the way, those insurance, yes, it's insured, and they always put the FDIC insured. Yeah, if you actually read that insurance policy, it says that we will someday, it literally almost verbatim says this, we will someday at some point give you your money back occasionally. It's like almost like pretty much says exactly that. No, I swear. Like there's no wild. They purposely left off any time frame until like because it's FDIC is supposed to be a federal. If something happens and people are like, oh, I lost this money in the crash, but it was in the bank, so you should be able to just, that's what it is. The FDIC guarantee is, that the government will just say, oh yeah, we know that happened to you. Here you go. Here's your $250 back. Well, the government can't do that. Think about everyone who has their money in it. They can't do that. And so it's literally written in a way where it's just like, yeah, over time, eventually, it may get to your kids, but
that's what the fuck happened with everybody's 401k during the housing short thing. During 2008. Like everybody had all this money in banks that they got from their 401k. Woo, your company matched it or whatever the fuck they do, and you lose. The whole economy crashes. Your shit goes to almost nothing or nothing.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, but what about my money? No.
Yeah, well, because by the way, people don't understand when you're putting in a 401k, you're actually giving the money and you're telling them to invest it.
Exactly. So it's like basically giving it to a bank.
Right. And so it's risk again. And they say, no, it's pretty safe. It's the safest thing you can do. Trust me. First of all, no one's going to care more about your money than you care about your money. And so if you're going to, you might as well do what you're doing and figure out how to run the stock market and just keep the money and invest it for yourself, because they're doing it on autopilot anyway. Yes. On this really low risk profile, just that they can make more for themselves, not really for you.
Exactly. Because it's just right back to the same system.
Mm-hmm.
The more money,
how can I get you to give me more of your money, so I can use it to make me money and loan it out to other people and charge them interest, so I make more money. It's just another product.
You can have the scraps.
Right. It's just another product that they created. And so their goal in a 401k is not literally, it's just like, okay, we're going to put it here and maybe it creates it turns some type of ROI. Like they know from a computer algorithm that someone who puts in, there's going to be a little bit more than they put in over the years, but it's not really created to make you a real ROI.
Yeah.
And so you should never have 250, but you really shouldn't put your money in a fractional reserve bank at all. What you should do is put it in a brokerage account.
Okay.
Like E-Trade, like.
Oh yeah.
Because in a brokerage account,
I would say
just like a debit card. You can there's brokerage accounts, you can get a debit card for it and write checks out of it. Yeah.
Can you do that with Cash App? Can you invest with Cash App and can't you get a card with them?
Yeah, you can do that. Is Cash App technically a brokerage account?
I don't know.
I know they're starting to do some you can buy crypto and stuff, but
yeah, I don't know how that works exactly, but yeah, what about, do you know anything about Chime?
I've heard of Chime. I haven't looked into it much.
I was looking into it a little bit, but I think the vibe that I get is it's like just a digital, it's like an app.
Chase. Right.
It might as well be Chase. But I don't know.
But yeah, I just Googled it. It said it's owned by Central National Bank, so fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
But in a brokerage account, your money can make you money.
Yeah. What brokerage do you? Because I don't know of any that I can get a debit card that pulls straight from it.
I'm literally going to talk to my mentor. He's the one. I asked him what was one. He told me to get E-Trade, and he said this. He was like, "Don't just create your account." He said, "There's some things that you need to tell them when you create your account, in order to be able to do some of the things that I talked about letting you do." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm gonna ask him when I talk to him.
All right, that'll be for next week. We'll check in on that.
I actually have a call with him today, so I'm not sure if he told me he would tell me before Monday, but we have a call today, so he may tell me today. But in a brokerage account, you're insured up to $1 million. And you can also have several. So first of all, now instead of your bank just sitting in the fractional reserve bank and making you 0.001%.
Yeah, which is
like this is like, bro.
It's so funny, bro. Imagine getting hypey over that. 0.001. I got 3 cents last week or last month.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I have like 90% of my money in TD Ameritrade and like Robinhood and like I have it split over a couple different things. Right. And so it's like, and then I get that 3 cent last month in my savings account, and I'm just like, these motherfuckers. Wow. They just. I'm like, y'all really playing everybody?
Everybody.
And
so on a brokerage account, you can get it insured up to $1 million.
Yep.
But you can create another account. So like he has like several accounts, let's say within each rate. So he has like 5 different. And so every time he gets $1 million, just creates another one. So it's always like he's protecting money too.
Yep.
And he's also going to show me, not today, but I can't remember when. He's going to show me. He does like calls and puts and stuff. So yes, he like trades, but he makes money. Like he'll buy a stock, but and when he buys a stock, he gets paid, and when he sells a stock, he gets paid.
So that's what. So you're gonna get into what wealthy people do to make even more money is once you have so much money that you can. So here's just a thing in general. Wealthy people don't buy stocks at the price that it's trading at. They put a call or a put on it to buy it at a discounted rate. And when you do a call or a put, you're able to leverage. So with a call or a put, one contract represents 100 shares. And you can finesse those contracts, that one contract of 100 shares at a fraction of what it would cost to buy one share outright. So like that's when it really comes down to it, and I'm assuming he's going to get to that point.
Yeah. So he helped one of his other clients, one of the dudes that's in this program with me, make $500,000 in a week.
Yeah.
In this. Just because he had the dude take his money out of the bank, put it into a brokerage account, showed him the call put thing, and the dude was like, I think it was GameStop, was like, oh, GameStop was at, but it was like 300 whatever, it was like Sky, and he was like, was it that or Tesla? It was one of those, and he was like, there's no way.
Either one, yeah. Like GameStop, Tesla, all of it's way overpriced. Let's say I bought Bitcoin at 60,000. Well, Bitcoin's a bad example because you can't call there's no options. Those are called options. So let's say GameStop. When GameStop shot all the way up and I was balls deep in it, right? What I could have done, and this is a little bit more difficult. What I should have done when GameStop shot up to the fucking moon and I sold. I was just getting into it. I wasn't really that comfortable. What I should have done is bought a bunch of put contracts, which is essentially me saying I'm betting that the price is going to go down. The shit just squoze to $400. GameStop ain't worth that.
So this is
going to go down.
So then I understood it how you were saying it, where like, oh, I'm betting, and if that happens, I get my payout. There's some caveat. Where so when he does that, like, and he said a trade, I can't remember. This was just Monday. He said a trade he did, and so he was like, when he put that in on whatever part, he got paid $2,000 just to put it in. And the put was like, oh, if any time over the next 30 days, this drops to this, whatever it was, right?
So I think that is I believe. God, I can't. So I think I talked about covered calls before.
Yeah.
So covered calls are, you own shares.
Yep.
you think that the stock is either going to stay the same or go up.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you sell covered calls, essentially you're saying, let's say it's trading at $50. I'm going to sell covered calls at $60. I sell those contracts to someone else. They buy them and I get that premium. Mm-hmm. Now, if that stock goes and hits $60, let's say it, shoots up $10 in a day. Great. I sell all the shares that I owned at $60. I keep the profit, but I lose the shares. I have to, because of the contract the covered call contract, I then give those shares to this dude that thought that they're gonna. If anyone buying covered calls thinks that something's gonna shoot up, so he's thinking that 60 is a good deal. Great. So like let's say it shoots up to 80. He gets the profits from 60 to wherever it goes. So like to him, that's a great deal. For me, whatever. I collected the premium, and then I get the profit from 50 to 60. Now, I believe, and this is where it gets like really, really complicated, and my brain is like, I didn't even know, like my family didn't. I didn't know what a stock is until I was like 16. I didn't know what options were until I was like 24. So like all this is brand new to me. Probably even later than that, honestly. Anyway, so I'm new to the whole thing, but in the same way that works, you can sell covered calls for hold on, freaking malware bites popped up. In the same way that works, in the positive direction, you can do the same thing in the negative direction.
That's what I'm saying. So he does both, because it doesn't matter if it goes up or down, he makes money. Yeah, okay.
That's where you collect the premium, and that's where you can just, let's say it's, I don't know, you're due, and I think it's called a cash secured put. Oh, that might be wrong.
Okay.
And the terminology, I don't know. But essentially you can do the same thing in reverse, and that's where you collect a premium on whatever you're selling. Because if you're collecting a premium, that means someone's buying contracts from you. So that's probably where that dude got his 2,000 from. And then, if it's GameStop and it's at 350, in 2 weeks, it's possible that it could stay at 350, but it's probably more likely it's going to go down a lot. Mm-hmm. And so that's where like wealthy people make a shit ton of money, and so like I'm happy with what I got. But
right.
Like, if I was real smart, and next time I see a situation like this, like, if I was paying more attention, I could have done it with the AMC shit. Like I guarantee, I know, I haven't looked at it, but I know it went from 60 down to like, it went down. So right. I can do that same thing where I essentially say, I know it's going to go down, and it goes down. I collect a premium from the people that think it's going to go up, and then I also get to take the shares once it drops.
I think this is what he was saying. So he was telling me, I'm trying to remember the conversation. So he's telling me, because my question was, I was like, hey, I don't really have time to figure this out. If I just move all my money to a brokerage account, can it just sit there, or something going to happen to it? He was like, yeah, it can just sit there. He was like, but since it's sitting there, you might as well like do stuff with it and make it turn into money. And so he was giving that example, and he said that, so like you were saying, I think when you do the one, because he has the shares, he gets the value of those shares immediately. And so that's why he got paid, like, let's say $2,000 on it. Yeah. And then, like I said, and he'll do it both ways. So he doesn't care if it goes up, down, doesn't matter. Like
doesn't matter.
He got 2,000 because he does both of them. It went up, and he'll get paid on that. And so got like another like 4,800 ever. And then if it goes down, it's like another, like, so it doesn't matter to him at all. The fact that he did it, he got paid for the value of his shares, Whether it goes up, he's going to get paid again on that money. If it goes down, he's going to get paid again on that money. And so let's say whatever money he had sitting in there just turned into, I think I'm not explaining it exactly right, but basically he generated an extra $8,000 on his money that he already had in a day. And it was like, where else? And what, like, you can't even do that in a bank. Like, you can't turn whatever money you're sitting there and add $8,000 to it. And I was like, I didn't know that. I always understood stock investing, like you were saying, where, okay, I can look at something, I can buy it, and I can say, okay, cool, it's at this much, I put that much in, and then I got to kind of watch it. When I see it spike up, go to whatever, I can sell it, and then that's my little profit. Like I said, it's significant, but that's my profit, and then I just wait until I find the next thing. I didn't know you could do it both ways. Sell it right now, get the value of it, whether it goes up or down. And so when he told me, he was like, I couldn't care less. But goes up, goes down. He was like, I make money on my money every single day. I was like, and that's one of those things that we're talking about, like like, let's say, and everything's not always some huge jump. Let's just say it's $100. Okay, if you just gained $100 on your money for 365 days, you're like, that's what I mean by, like, turn your money into more money, like make your money have money babies. Like, I was just like, oh shit, I gotta learn.
And so I need to, like, I'm slowly but surely building up my knowledge of that and trying to get more comfortable with it. I would say, although I kind of hate Robinhood has a really, it's very user friendly and explains all of this really well.
Mm-hmm.
So the Robinhood account, like, if you, like, even, put 1,000 in it, put 5,000 in it, like, just as like practice,
right?
Because they walk you through, when you go through to do different options, it's like, it spells it out. Like, you want to do a call, that means you think that it's going to go up. And if you want to do a put, that means you think the stock's going to go down. And then you want to do a covered call, or do you want to do, well, covered call, that's a different thing. That's if you own shares. Another thing, most wealthy people they never own shares of any stock. It's always just calls or puts. They're just seeing, like, they want it to go up or down, and then they collect premiums, and they, like, basically they're just, like, essentially using their money like a bank does. They're like, oh, here's some money here. I'm going to collect, you pay me for the money for the option that I'm giving you. I get the money, and then, if it does hit that strike price, then you get it, whatever. I still got that money, and, and the profit.
Right.
And you can profit from the stock going up or down.
Yeah, because he was saying that you get the difference of it too when it happens.
Yeah.
So you get, like I said, the value at that point, and then the difference if it goes up and the difference if it goes down. I was like, so which is the best? It's like, no, by doing that, he's eliminating his risk. He got paid regardless today, doesn't really care what happens.
Yeah.
And added some more money to his money.
And now that's another thing too, is like, when you have, so my understanding is, if you have, like, this is why people say getting the first million is the hardest. Once you get a lot of money, it's really easy to get a lot more money.
Yeah, he was saying, he was like, he was saying, like, he was like, I may actually put a program together to help people with this, because the students make a lot of money. He was like, if someone has $250,000, he was like, I could make, like, he was like, I could turn it into millions, like, within weeks, like, doing this. Yeah. So I think he was saying, like, 250 is the minimum. Like, you can do it, like you're saying, with any amount of money, but 250 is where it's a big enough, like, the return is big enough where you grow your money really fast.
Because it's at the point, what it sounds like he's doing is he's like doing calls and puts at the same time, even maybe on the same stock. And so it's set to where, okay, yeah, like, whatever, maybe it didn't go up, it went way down. Well, I have calls and puts on both sides. So if it goes up, I make money. And, maybe you lose a little bit because you're buying those calls. And then if it goes, but you cash in on your puts when it goes down, and the same thing in reverse, same vice versa. So like, you have to have, this is like, it takes money to make money. If you got to have enough money on both directions to where, like, that's where you get to the point where you can make money either way.
Right. Yeah. When I was like that, I was like,
yeah, it's well, if you
like you were saying, I was like, dude, I didn't like if I'm not even like that'd be grand. If I can make this is how I look at everything because I'm an idiot. I'm like, dude, if I can make $1 off my money every single day. No, I'm serious. Like everyone's always trying to, I'm just like,
yeah,
it's better than the bank. Like if I just make $365, which like I said, that's like I don't even think you can like mess up and like that you in the stock, you're gonna make way more than that, right? Yeah. But I'm just like, dude, $1 a day, $10.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like once you become a student of the game, and I mean like the game of life, the game of wealth, it just comes to you.
Yes.
It's not you don't have to go get it. It just comes to you. And so that's where I'm trying to get is to the point where I've got a decent amount that comes to me right now. But I'm just trying to keep that flowing and build on that. And that's where you really start to separate yourself. And then if he puts together this program, or if there's any way that I can get involved, I'm very, very, very curious about that. So if I could get on a meeting or something, like I would.
Yeah, he just mentioned it because someone said something. He was like, "That's a good idea. You know what I may do?" Because he has like properties in the DR, actually, Dominican Republic. And he was like, I may do a destination location, like 5 or 7 day mastermind or like week retreat. He was like, I'll make it 50 grand, flights covered, hotels covered, everything. You got to have at least 250. And he was like, by the end of the week, I'll show you something, you'll do it on your account. And it was like, by the end of the week, he was like, I pretty much know it turned into like $1 million or something.
Turn into $1 million. I ain't got that kind of money, but that'd be.
I know. Well, regardless, I don't have that. I don't have 250 sitting anywhere either. I'm like, okay. But he kind of like that random. I was all right.
And after the 50 to get there, I'm out. After that, I'm out.
I'm like, okay, well, but yeah, like I said, he said he would show me that stuff regardless. So when I figure some stuff out,
you talk to him and then you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook my boy up. I ain't gonna leave the homies behind. Shit. But yeah.
Gotcha. All right, bro. I gotta go work out.
Alrighty. I'm gonna eat some lunch.
But all right, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Take care.